Hello, everyone. Here we are with episode 6 of North of Reason. And today we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Woo.
Today we have myself, Sean Bombani, and we're joined by Paulu Belsic,
Yeah.
Sarah Robinson,
Hey.
a new guest star, Jillian Allen,
Hello.
and Amrita is also making a returning appearance for this one. However, she claims to be only here to listen and she isn't going to speak, but I have a feeling she's going to interject at this point. The
Yeah.
problem is she hasn't seen this movie.
That's what you know.
So we'll see what happens there. But Amrita is also at least present.
I'm here. That's what matters.
God.
So 11 years, 22, 23 movies,
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
23, I think.
How did we like this conclusion?
Oh.
I have a feeling we're going to go at it today, Paul.
Oh, we are very much going to go at it.
So many
So I think
polar thoughts.
I like where Sean's going with this. I think we should all just overall this is how I felt about the movie, and then we'll.
Okay.
But so overall, I'm just going to get it out there. I did not like this movie. I was not a fan.
Really?
I did not find it as a satisfying conclusion.
Get off
Your-
the show.
Your opinion has seemed to become more aggressive.
Yes.
I remember I talked to you when you first came out of the theater.
Yep.
You said you enjoyed it, but you disliked some parts. But
Oh
now
no!
you
So
seem to have descended
so
into hate.
group
I was going to say
polariza-
group polarization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Group polarization. Yes. So originally, I went into the movie thinking, "Yo, I'm so excited for this movie. I can't wait." Basically, I was like, "This is gonna be amazing."
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, we're dumb. There's a blanket.
All right. So I walked in thinking that this is gonna be an amazing movie. Gonna be way better than Infinity War, better than any other Marvel movie yet.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting through it, and I'm like,
Julie.
okay. And I'm hit around hour and a half mark. I'm like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? No, stop. And then they just kept doing it. And I walked out, and I was like, I felt like I just wasted 3 hours there. I did not feel satisfied.
Mhm.
I was hoping that this would basically close out the MCU for me, and it just didn't.
Uh-huh.
So overall, wasn't super a fan of it. I think they could have done it better, and I'll go into that later of how they could have done it better.
Okay.
I also think all of our theories that we came up with in the last episode were way better than the actual plot of the movie.
I have to agree with you.
So,
Sarah?
I actually overly enjoyed it. Yeah, there were a few plot sequences that I thought were kind of hokey or they didn't
Underdeveloped,
really
stuff like that,
make sense. Yeah, or they didn't really actually fit in with the timeline. Because obviously messing with time travel, there was a lot there that I don't know, it didn't really match up with what else had been done in the MCU previously. However, I think overall, as far as major plot events, putting aside all of the little details, I thought the end-all, be-all conclusion of it, I thought that was actually a pretty good conclusion of the phase. I thought it was fitting. So, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed it, and I liked the ideas that they had going into it. I like their general ideas with the movie. Are we allowed to spoil here?
yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. Spoiler warning right now.
Spoiler alert.
Turn back.
Whoop.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you're seriously, if you're watching this and you're expecting no spoilers,
Yeah,
what
it
are you
is.
doing?
It is not. You can't talk about this movie without spoiling it.
I know. It's pretty
It's
crazy.
just
Not possible.
because the second you get past the 10-minute mark, you're in spoiler
You're-
zone.
yeah, exactly.
All the promotional
Even
material is only about the first 10 minutes.
the opening sequence is literally a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
No, straight up.
Yeah, but so anyway, I really enjoyed the element that they had using time travel to reflect on their past movies. I really liked that, and I thought that was really creative of them to use that to reflect on what they've gone through so far and stuff, but also making it a new movie, not just the same thing that we've seen in the 20 other Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the ending was nice, but there are definitely some plot holes that aren't the best, but if you just look past them, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the plot holes actually weren't super. They didn't have really big consequences to the overall plot. Oh, Paul's gonna smash his computer.
Oh, Paul.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Alright, so I think this gets into the realm of what we talked about last week with execution versus idea. But we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Sean, how'd you feel about the movie?
I like this movie.
Yes, Sean, join the club.
I think there were definitely some big flaws. I think they took some particular characters in the wrong direction.
Oh, please, I think we're on the same page with this one.
I hope so. But there is some things they did great. You know, I Sarah's over there looking at memes.
In my defense, it's a video of someone turning on a faucet and the whole thing just explodes.
I do, like Jillian said, I do like how the movie was a reflection on the whole MCU history, but also it added so much to the runtime. And you know, my first time through the movie, I enjoyed it all the way through, and I never felt bored because it was like novel and interesting. But I went for a second viewing, and it was just long. It was too long.
I went for a second viewing and I still enjoyed it. I mean, there were some parts where I didn't like doze off a little bit, but I was still enjoying it though.
So I did enjoy it, and like, you know, the ending sequence I thought was great. I thought that was a great conclusion, but also, you know, a lot of the body, a lot of the middle stuff, I did not like the direction it went in. So it's a mix.
Amrita, how'd you feel about this movie?
So, speaking from a sort of viewed, sort of not viewed perspective.
Have you read a synopsis at least?
I read the entire plot of it, and I've seen the illegal link, bits and pieces of it, and so I know what happens in the entire movie and everything. But since I haven't seen the movie in theaters or even on the small screen, and Sean has a lot against me and how I watch movies, you're not gonna get into it. I can't really comment on if I liked it or not. I feel like I should hold that back because I can't really speak in depth about it without fully watching the movie in quotation marks.
All right, before we get like heated, can we talk about like our favorite parts? Because I would rather like
Talk about
start.
our least favorite
Can
part.
we start with the good?
I'll be the moderator. You guys have to talk about the good
Can we
parts
start with
first.
the good and then like, because it's harder to get back to good once you
So
talk about that.
easily the greatest thing in that movie was the kid from Iron Man 3.
No, shut up. That was so dumb.
Harley, I love him.
Iron Man 3.
No one knew who he was.
Iron
I
Man
did.
3.
I knew who he was.
So did I.
My dad was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "It's the kid."
Iron Man 3 is so underrated. You know,
It low-key is.
People think it's like one of the just this trash Marvel movie.
It is one of the worst
but
Marvel movies, but it's
no,
I like
no.
it.
I think it's a top 10 Marvel movie.
No way.
It's so
No
good.
way.
Definitely not as bad as
It like
Ultron.
subverts your
Yeah,
expectations.
you're right. Not as bad as Ultron.
It's like fun and witty the whole time. It's just like everything I want out of one of
the
these summer
Mandarin
flicks.
is just so bad.
I like the Mandarin. I think that
He's
was
so
a great way
funny.
to subvert our expectations. He was just hilarious.
Oh yeah,
He was
yeah.
hilarious.
I've seen that, even though I haven't seen.
And we did.
Amrita, I know what you're talking
But
about.
anyways,
Big
I'm
fan.
happy that was there.
You're right.
You know what,
Um,
Amrita? I retract my offer for you to come here.
I can't leave now. How am I gonna go?
The Avengers Assemble scene. That was a good scene.
So I actually saw this movie in the pre-showing, which is definitely an experience that anybody needs to like take. Like any movie doesn't even need to be Marvel. Like if you're going to see Star Wars in the December, please go to a pre-showing because you're there with like a lot of other like super fans and it's awesome. Like they in the movie theater, like during scenes, like people like cheer and like during like awesome scenes, like when all the Avengers came back from the dead, like everybody was like standing up clapping. Like it's so much fun. You're just there with so many other fans. But like my favorite, one of the like best parts about that part was like everybody was cheering and clapping, but then when Captain Marvel came on, nobody clapped.
Yeah.
every other character got applause besides Captain Marvel, and I thought that was so funny.
Oh, oof.
Oh.
Big oof.
Sarah, what's your favorite part?
I don't even know. I don't know if I had a select favorite part actually.
I like the part.
Yeah, sorry, I'm so boring. I don't know.
I think the most shocking part to me was when Captain America lifted Thor's hammer. I was thrown off. And I was like,
The only thing that like they set that up in Ultron though.
they did, but
So,
they also I was like, oh my god, like so.
For me,
And
what was shocking was when Thanos died.
in the first like 5 minutes of the movie,
Yeah,
when
oh my God.
When that happened,
I
I was-
cried. I was like,
I was
I
sitting
told you he
there.
was just gonna be a farmer sitting around and yeah.
I was sitting there in the theater thinking, what could this movie possibly be about?
Yeah.
When I
He's
saw
dead.
it a second time, I went with friends who had not seen it previously, and so like I knew that was coming, so I was like watching them, and then my friend, he was watching it for the first time, and he was like, he started crying, like he was, I was like,
Was it baby?
Marvel
No, it
has
wasn't.
impacted his life.
Yeah.
it was so funny.
Okay, so
And
my favorite part.
okay.
I know this is gonna sound.
If you say the end, I
dismissing.
swear to God.
I know this is gonna sound dismissing and really cliche, but my favorite part was the end. Not because it was the end of the movie. Not because of the end of the movie.
Okay.
But it was
the
a
end.
really good closing.
The reason I like the end was because they did that nice thing with the signatures of all the people who had been on there since the beginning. So I thought that was a really
You like the credits.
no. I did. I thought it was a good way to show that all these
Hey, it could be
actors
different.
were moving on to new things and that they were concluding with Marvel. So I felt that was very sentimental.
You know what I did like? I also did like at the end when before Cap hands over his mantle to Sam. I just loved when he was talking about going back and being with Peggy, and it was like back in Age of Ultron when they were having like that reverie where Ultron had Wanda had done the thing where it was like, oh, the mind, whatever. And he was back with Peggy and she was like, we can go home now, kind of a thing. It really just came full circle and tied it all together, I thought.
What about you, Sean? What's your favorite part?
Because we know the kid from Iron Man 3 was
Yeah.
your favorite part.
I mentioned Avengers Assemble. Thanos. Okay. The most euphoric moment of that movie was when I realized that 5 years had passed.
Oh,
That was crazy.
Oh my god.
Because, like, when Infinity War ended, it was supposed to be like, they lost for the first time. But in my head, it was like, okay, yeah, they lost, but they're just going to come right back in Endgame, so they haven't really lost.
But
Yeah.
then they
But
didn't.
5 years and, of living in this depressed state with no hope, that is
Yeah,
a proper
yeah.
loss.
Also, did you know that Hulk was supposed to die in Infinity War? Like, they filmed the death scene for Hulk, but they just never did it.
Well, they should have.
I was gonna say,
You don't get it that yet.
Also-
Avengers Assemble was great. I think they were saving that line.
Yes.
They
I'm
were.
sure they really wanted to use it in
They
Avengers
milked
1.
it.
And when they came together in New
In
York.
the circle.
Right. I'm sure they wanted to use it there, but they were like, no, save it for Thanos.
Exactly.
Do you think they, planned, this entire thing from...
I mean,
I
they
really
had to
think so.
have.
Honestly, I really hope they didn't because of how bad this movie turned.
Oh my god, Paul, get out
But
of
I
here.
mean,
with
they
negativity.
at least planned that they would get this far because there's no way
Yeah.
they would save the Avengers Assemble line for this.
I was
long.
gonna
They
say,
didn't.
because
I
with
think
the
it was on
comic
purpose.
series, this was all predicted in the comics, but way before the movie came out. So, but I also really liked when it announces the 5 years later kind of a thing. I like how you get that shot of New York and it's all
Yeah.
dark and dingy because that's all the people's ash clouding out the sun kind of a thing.
I really like what they did with Hawkeye in this movie.
no,
yeah.
this is one of the plot holes that I'm gonna go at later, so I don't
Okay.
know. Can we save that? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
We'll
was
save
like-
it. We'll save it.
That's a plot
Honestly,
hole
So
that I'm
when
not
he
a fan of.
when we first see him,
But I do. The opening is
Well,
something
the opening
I do
was
like.
heart wrenching. Him slicing up these Japanese mob bosses was incredible.
Honestly,
I love
that's
the
one of the
style of
things that
the
was-
subtitles.
Are we gonna be on the same team for this one?
No. See, I honestly thought Hawkeye was one of the best parts of
Oh,
this movie.
stop! Like
So-
I don't
I-
have a thing against Hawkeye, but just the way they did it.
Alright.
I,
There's
I,
gonna
we'll
be a
get
lot
into
of
that.
disagreement.
I did
between
not like
Paul and
Hawkeye
Jillian.
before this movie, but
Me and
now
Jillian are going to be fighting about this later. So.
My
It's gonna be
favorite
good.
part of the movie.
And the sad thing is we're going to the same college, so,
Yeah, we are. I'll show
Alright.
up to your dorm room and I'll light it on fire.
Endgame
This
was
is
cool.
what you get. I'm gonna be an arson.
It's like scraping my door. Endgame was good.
Your opinion doesn't count.
Alright, so do we want to move into scene by scene breakdown?
is that how we're doing this?
I
I'm a fan of
really,
that.
really want to do
I'm a
this.
fan of that.
I think
Scene
so.
by
We should do it like
scene.
that.
Yeah, I
This
guess.
is a long
I like that.
movie.
I know, but
But
more,
it's okay. Just
more-
broad
Okay.
scenes.
It's
Okay.
either scene by scene or character by character, and I feel like
Yeah.
scene by
Yeah,
scene
it's scene by scene is good.
Okay.
Right.
Or you could just bring up any pertinent point that you want to discuss, and then we can all talk
That's-
about
I'd
it.
rather go
Really
in order.
disorganized.
I
I'd
feel
rather
like
go in order too.
Order
yeah.
would be so
Why?
much. It's just easier because
Yeah.
then we're not
It's
jumping
easier to
around.
think about.
And
Okay,
then we can
alright.
have a free for all and just bring
Alright.
up random stuff.
Paul,
Alright, so ready?
start us off. Bad
Movie-
things.
Movie? No.
No,
We're gonna
Oh,
start
overall.
we're not doing bad things?
We're doing each
We're still
scene
doing
and
overall
then
scene
good
by scene.
and bad.
Overall scene.
Okay.
God.
So, movie opens up.
Yeah.
You got Hawkeye with his
Yeah.
family.
Right.
Yeah.
Sad.
He's teaching
Sad
his daughter to shoot arrows. His boys are playing,
Uh-huh.
and then boom, they're gone.
Okay. We're assuming that people
Who
watching
puts
have seen the
mayonnaise
movie.
on a hot
I-
dog?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
if they're...
I-
Oh, wait.
This for me is one of the most pure and best scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
That was
I
a
think-
good scene.
I think it was a good tone setter,
Yeah.
and it sets up the movie nicely. Segues in from Infinity War, shows us, hey, this is where Hawkeye was, right into the movie.
I thought that was also a really good choice to put as the first scene because
Right.
it really reels you back into it because,
Yes.
you know, you're going into Endgame, like, most people who see it are very excited to see this movie, and people don't really, like, connect back with it, the sadness from Infinity War, but, like, starting off right at the bat, hitting you with this, like, the first thing you see, it's a really big tone setter.
Oh yeah, no, I think that was a good choice.
Okay,
For-
so you all agree that
Right
was
off the
good?
bat,
Yeah,
right
that
off
was
the bat,
good. That was a good one.
That was good. So I watched that and I'm
Like,
like, okay,
I
this
felt
is gonna
when
be a
I
great
saw
movie,
that,
great
I,
movie.
like, felt it in my chest.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, we're in for this.
Question, just think, like, it's not like we had a lot of introduction into Hawkeye's family though. Weren't the first time?
Sort of. We
We
saw them in Ultron.
Yeah,
Ultron.
Ultron, right? Wasn't that the first time we saw them?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
I
only
guess
time
we're
we've seen
trying to
them.
go off the whole feeling like everyone has a family, so
Yes.
like getting them snapped away out of something.
And really, that's what like made Hawkeye like set out, like,
Not be in Infinity War, it was his family.
yeah, but like it made him
It set
I
him
guess
apart
special,
from the
right?
other
That's the word I'm
Avengers.
looking for.
Yeah,
It set
there
him
you go.
apart from the rest
Right,
because
'cause
like
he
he
was-
has a
yeah.
family that he cares about. That's why he can't fight.
And
you know?
yeah, he's
Like,
willing to give up his team for his family.
Yeah, that was the only thing that made him like
Which
made him interesting at
makes
all in
him
the
kind of,
previous
like,
movies. So I
doesn't
like that they
kind of make
focused
him
on
kind
that.
of like almost the character, like this, the audience is a character. Like when you're making that decision, there's like either team versus family, and he chose his team. He chose his family, sorry, and that kind of like puts him in the position like maybe that some people in the audience would, but like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it
yeah.
reintroduced us into Hawkeye's family, his past, and what he's fighting for. And I think it reset us back up with the tone that we got at the end of Infinity War. So I like this scene. I thought it was good.
I like it from what I hear.
So, don't worry, we'll get into my hate for it later.
Oh,
Then
no.
we get then we get the entrance scene with the thing coming together, Avengers Endgame, like cool
Yep.
CGI, cool
Oh,
graphics
yeah.
and stuff. I liked it. Then we go into space.
First, the Marvel logo. They took out all the people who were dusted in
Yeah.
Infinity War.
Really?
Yeah,
I
so
didn't notice
when
that.
when they go through the Marvel, like their logo, like the
Yeah, I know what you're talking
like
about.
it's all only like the original Avengers who like survived and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Everybody who
Didn't notice
died
that.
is
That was
not
cool.
in there. That's
That's cool.
I thought that was like really attention to details, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, before we go into the actual movie part of it, how do you guys feel that they just set this up as like a send off for the old Avengers? Because all the new ones got dusted.
Yeah.
Well, most of them did. So that we set up just like these are the original guys that are going to be in this movie, and we're going to showcase them.
I liked it. I thought since, we've built so much from this, rinky-dink ragtag group of superheroes, the original six,
Yeah, show how much they've progressed.
and the MCU has really, really grown from all of that. Like, we have all of these new characters and all of these new plots, all of these new places, and so many different storylines that are all intertwined and overlapping. And I just thought it was really nice to have this, the ultimate culmination of all of these characters. Absolutely every single character who has been in a Marvel movie was in it, pretty much.
Jane Foster.
Wait, just stop.
No, a lot of the characters from Black Panther weren't in it, though, either.
I know that was
Like, what?
But
Anyway.
this movie was pumped full of quotes.
Yeah, and I just really appreciated the fact that, you're kind of getting to the top, everyone's expecting so much of this, and they almost took a step back, and it was like, remember your origins, remember where we came from, and so you're in this really complicated situation, the ultimate boss battle, but then you go back to your roots, and that's where you get your strength from.
I also I agree with that, and I also think that it was really good to show like the end of an era. Like it showed that we were moving on from these to a new generation of superheroes. And I really thought that was nice of them to focus on that than the new people, because the new people, they will have their time. Like I know a lot of people were complaining about the lack of Captain Marvel, but I was thinking to myself that I didn't think that she should have been a main point in this, because she's not the focus of the MCU yet, but she'll have her time in the future, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into how we feel about Captain Marvel later, because I know Sean has some strong feelings about Captain Marvel.
And
so
I feel like that's another thing too, is because it seems like, especially in today, everyone's really pushing for representation. So to a lot of people, I feel like it almost feels like watching the movie, it's like Marvel is trying to shove that down their throat, but they're not. They're just waiting for it, I guess, kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a slow introduction, not a you have to accept these characters just because we need to represent different types of people. It's just a slow, normal character introduction. You know what I mean?
There's this, I guess, an effect called like the forced representation effect on a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies that occurs when everyone, just because of how much of a push for diversity there is in general in today's culture, in today's age, which is great, like I love it, but it's a lot of things that you kind of don't want to push into, but I think Marvel is doing it okay. Like Black Panther actually, like it is a thing, like you know, it was gonna happen eventually, they're just doing it now, and it's so important. Like there's a lot going on, but yeah.
I have some stuff to say about forced representation, but that's
later.
later on.
That's later.
All right, what's our next part?
All right, so next part, we got Tony Stark and Nebula in space.
Oh.
That was basically the entire trailer.
Oh,
So yes, they hyped that up so much
And
in the
it
trailer,
was
and it was
anticlimactic.
like,
Oh my God.
Pepper, I'm dying, I'm gonna. Which first of all was kind of creepy. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. I'm gonna be thinking about you as I die. Besides the point.
No,
But
I didn't think that was
Everyone,
creepy at all.
I'm sorry.
It's
you
the
have
dude's
no
wife,
heart,
man.
Paul.
He just-
I'm
he just
sorry
is gonna
you
miss her.
have
Not
no
wife
heart.
yet.
I mean, the way
Fiancé,
you said it would be
fiancé.
creepy.
Yeah,
Fiancé.
they're engaged.
Okay.
But so the thing with Nebula, the football, like that was fine.
That's
I
cute.
was
That was
okay.
pretty funny.
It was showing bonding and stuff. That was cool.
I forgot Nebula was with Tony until she showed up on screen.
I almost thought it was like a hint at her character development, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
she's
Yeah.
so robotic, and then just playing that simple football game made her more human.
I thought that was fair. The thing that I have a problem with this scene in particular is how quickly it ended.
Yeah.
They hyped it up in the
Very
trailer
anticlimactic.
so much, and they're like, "Oh, Tony's stuck in space. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do?" And then
I mean,
Captain Marvel just
Marvel
shows up.
shows
And,
up.
What?
I think it was hyped up
Yeah.
to subvert our expectations.
I
Yeah.
would agree with that, but I think they still could have done more. with it.
I appreciate that this was at the beginning of the movie, because if this were later on and we got the same exact scene, except for say like an hour into the movie, we would have not liked it as much as we don't already, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like just the fact that they got it out of the way, I think was a good choice on them. But I do acknowledge that it's not one of the best scenes, especially maybe if they didn't spoil it in the trailers, I would have liked it more, but they literally showed the entire scene in the trailers besides
pretty
him getting
much.
taken away.
Yep.
So that's one reason why I think it's not like it's a bad scene, it's just we already knew what was going to happen basically.
I thought, oh, there was foreshadowing in that scene. You know what it was? It was, I think it was Tony was laying on the ground and Nebula had picked him up and put him in the seat and he was sleeping, but it looked like he was dead for like a while, and then all of a sudden the screen changes and it starts
And
to
it gets
light up.
bright and
Yeah, I think that was foreshadowing, because if you remember when Tony dies, he's sitting up. So that was kind of, because I had it spoiled for me. So when he was laying on the ground, I was thinking to myself, I was like, all right, something in this scene is going to be a foreshadowing moment for his death, because he pretty much was dead on his feet then. So
Poor
yeah.
child.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, that's about it. I just think like they hyped it
That's
up
the
too
entire
much.
movie.
Yeah.
This is the end of the podcast. Talk to you next week.
Thank you guys. Tune in next week.
That was a short one. You're welcome.
No,
Okay.
I do
How
agree
they
with
stretched it out
Sean.
3 hours.
The football match was just so long. It was in real time.
Oh, okay.
Without watching it though, I think I agree with Sean's view of it being like an expectation subversion, because I really do think if they were gonna do any scene, might as well do this one, because
Like they don't have many options.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the remainder of the first act, actually we need to talk about. We already talked about Thanos dying.
No,
No, we have not
No.
talked about it.
Okay,
So so ship goes back to the compound.
Yep.
Captain Marvel brings
Oh,
it.
can we talk about Tony's meltdown?
Yes,
at
that's what I want to talk about.
Okay,
well,
good.
first of all, Captain America shaving. Okay,
Yeah.
I get that he has to get the beard off.
He
but
just looks better that
why-
way, but like.
why do we need to see him shaving in the bathroom? Like, who cares?
Yeah, again,
It's
like there's
3 hours.
tons of stuff like that they could have cut out,
I
and
know.
then
Don't care.
the movie would have been like 15, 30
Yeah.
minutes
And
shorter.
it would have been inconsequential. But
Okay, so
That's beside
They
the
just
point.
wanted a nice flat 3 hours.
all right, so Tony coming off the spaceship, all that stuff, good stuff. Like him
Yeah.
talking to Pepper, like I lost the kid, like that, all heartfelt, wrenching stuff. Great. The stuff where I get a problem with this scene is when Tony freaks out.
I don't have a problem with that. I thought that was completely
It's
justified.
in his character.
Well, why
like,
do
it's
you-
part
why,
of
yeah,
him.
Why would
So,
you think
We've seen him do that in the
unjustified?
past.
All right, so yes, we have seen him do that in the past, but like he goes from like as you said in the last one with Anakin, he goes from 0 to like 100 in like 20 seconds. Like he breaks down. I'm
But
trying.
it was justified, I thought.
I mean, I think Tony's entire arc across all of his movies really is him, hiding his insecurities and his anxiety, and now his PTSD.
And
With his persona of him being this, playboy.
I also think the fact
But
that.
really, he's like emotionally vulnerable, just like all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, I get that he's got PTSD. I got all that stuff.
feel like
I mean, yes, but another major problem I have with the scene is the whole like you weren't there when I needed you to Captain America. Like the reason Tony Stark says you weren't there when I needed you was because he wanted to put an Iron Man suit of armor around the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just talk about how stupid of an idea that is?
Yes.
I thought that was
That's
figurative.
ridiculous.
I didn't
Yeah.
think
No.
that was literal.
No, he wanted to put a suit of armor around the Earth to protect them from Thanos.
That sounds
Are you sure?
fake, but okay.
yeah.
I can. pull up
I
the
know he
quote.
says that quote, but I thought that was. I didn't think that
Yeah,
was literal.
yeah.
I didn't
I
think
thought it
that
was
actually
creating,
like an army of
That's what I
suits.
thought.
This
I
is a
thought it was like.
dome.
No, I didn't think
Yeah,
it was
I
a
was
dome necessarily.
Like a
Otherwise,
suit,
what
like
we needed
multiple
was a
people.
suit of armor around the world. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
not
think it's like
literally.
around
he
the
wanted
world.
a
Like,
he wanted an Iron Man suit around
I
the
think
world.
I know.
no, I think
disagree.
he wanted
I
like
disagree.
Iron Man's around the world.
Yeah, because he has all of those suits.
He wanted
so-
he had War Machine a copy of those kind of
Like I think he
people protecting
wanted
the world, right?
an Iron Man to always be like around the world, not like encasing the world.
I don't think.
I don't know.
I think as I think you'd realize that would not work out as well.
No, that's what I'm
'Cause,
saying.
like,
I'm saying it's a
Also,
stupid
there's
idea.
so many
I
things on
think
the
it's
inside that are
misunderstanding.
just as much of a threat as an outside. Like, how can you have a suit surrounding the world?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the idea is dumb.
Yeah,
I think
but yeah,
I
I
don't
don't-
misunderstand.
But
I think
I
it's-
think it's a I mean, regardless, I really thought that him freaking out at Steve was just like he kind of deserved it. You know what I mean? And I think honestly, for Tony, the whole thing about the suit of armor around the world and him not being there, I mean, Steve not being there when Tony needed him, that goes deeper than just that. It's
yeah.
going back to the Accords and just every single little fight that they've had within the team. They're supposed to be a team, and like I feel for this guy so much because you use one example to kind of exemplify all of your frustrations. So you say he goes from 0 to 100 really quickly for the circumstances. Yeah, that's true, but it's more than just
building up,
skin
yeah.
deep. This stuff has been building for years, and all the tension like in Civil War, these people have been fighting for so long, and then they were forced together to fight this bigger boss without even confronting each other about their own issues. So of course when they get separated and then they both end up losing, when they come back together, they're going to be kind of sore because they haven't patched things up together. So how are they going to get through this? Because this is incredibly trying. They've all lost people that they've loved, and Tony is just absolutely distraught because he has been going through this so much, and he has been trying to make himself seem a better person because everyone sees him as conceited, like this billionaire playboy philanthropist, and he's trying to get out of that, but he's so afraid of being broken down by the press, so he masks his insecurities, and it just all comes out because Captain America is someone that he should be able to fall back upon. And I don't think he realized that until they were separated and until they were both defeated, and now I feel like that entire breakdown that he had was because he really wanted to be able to fall back on Steve, but he couldn't because they were in the middle of a fight, and just Steve was just ready to move on, and he just needed a minute
to like go. That's a lot.
I need a minute after
love
that.
Tony Stark. Like,
I think
literally
I-
come at me.
I've never heard Sarah speak that much
Yeah.
in one of these podcasts.
I just no, come at me. I will defend that man to the end of the earth.
I also really like it.
I-
don't like
I
that.
think it just stems from the fact that they're family, but you know how every family has kind of like tensions that happen, and when they're not discussed, that's when people fall apart, and that's when people don't start like forming issues with each other. And I do really think that he just needed a minute to like just confront everything, and they were just thrown back together, like everything. When they at the end of the movie, they even had that second where like Tony was like, "Oh yeah," he got the letter. I think when was it? I don't even know what movie that was, but like, they knew it, and they were building on it, but they didn't get the chance to like sit down and like you know pull through.
Yeah, because obviously you have these two people who can obviously head a team. Like, Tony runs his own empire, and Cap is used to being a captain in the army. So, you know, both really strong leaders, really obstinate people. And then when they come together, it's going to be rough in general. But, yeah, it was just...
Stubborn people.
I thought that was very well done, because it could have been done worse. It's a very delicate thing. Because obviously too much aggression is like, well, that was just ridiculous, and not enough is like, you don't get the point across. You know what I mean? So
The
anyway.
other thing I had about Tony's meltdown was when he takes off the arc, or whatever, I don't know, is it?
Yeah.
Is it
Reactor.
the arc?
Arc reactor.
Arc reactor, that's the one.
Actually, is that even? I mean, it's not the arc reactor. I think it was just a hub for the nanotechnology.
Right. So he takes that off, and then he just like falls to the floor and faints.
Yeah. Well,
But you have
That
to
could also
consider the
be out of
fact that he's been
exhaustion.
trapped in space,
No,
going
but like
to die.
if we're implying that that's like he's fainting because he takes that off.
he's
I
not.
think he was gonna do it regardless. To be honest.
Okay,
No, it's-
because I'm like that has nothing to do with his heart or anything as it did in the prior movies.
Right.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah,
removed that in Iron Man
no,
3.
you could even tell before he took it out that he was getting like more
Yeah.
unstable. Like he was shaky. You could tell before.
that was just the culmination of
Yeah.
emotions.
I think it could just be
and
like symbolizing
physical.
that, you know, like just.
exertion. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like they're like,
Dude was
Freaked
exhausted and
out.
was
Yeah.
getting to a breaking
you know, when
point.
he took
Yes,
it
it
out,
was
they
like-
were kind of just like shocked. It's
breather.
not like they were like, yo, put that back in. They were just like,
Yo, what am I gonna do?
they were just like more like
Restarted.
surprised
Yeah,
by his
and
actions,
even beyond
you
the
know?
logic of it, I think it's symbolic. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's
He
that's
was-
his
His core. That literally.
Right,
is.
that's how the Iron Man suit
And
Right.
by
works.
telling them
So
all of
it's
this,
it's like he's giving up.
he's
You know?
he's
Yeah, no, I'm okay
taking
with
a
that.
literal weight off of his chest and
So
kind of
I
letting him
really
in.
do think it's symbolic.
So
No,
yeah,
I'm okay with it. I'm just like, if they're like insinuating that he collapses because of that, that's
No,
no,
they're
I don't
not.
think so.
Nah.
God, this is gonna be a long podcast.
Oh, it's
That's why I said to do it in
Yeah,
two
we are
parts,
half an
2
hour
parts.
in and we're like 3 scenes.
so
Alright.
Thor
Like, we're
sweatshirt,
mixing,
Thor sweatshirt,
I
cool.
feel like
We like Thor in sweatshirt.
I like Thor in a sweatshirt. I do not like Thor in this movie.
We'll get to that, Sean. But
I
I do
like
like
Thor
Thor
in
in
a
a sweatshirt. Thor in sweatshirt
He looks
was cool.
comfy. Yeah, I just want to give him a hug. He looks
I
so
no, like
snuggly.
I feel like this was a really good. Before we get into all that where they ruined Thor, I thought that was a really good show of Thor in the sweatshirt because it showed that like
How-
he's human
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
He's not just the god with all his armor.
He's not human though. That's the funny part.
I know, but like it shows his humanity because
Yeah,
as we've
okay.
seen Thor in all the other movies, he's always got his armor or like whatever.
Speaks
This is
in,
showing like him in regular clothes, and I thought that was nice to show him in that light. Other problems with this scene was the whole like going to find Thanos scene.
That was
Because-
so overdrawn for like a
Right.
5-minute scene.
Right,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they go, because Captain America asks Tony, he's like, "Did you get any clues on how to find Thanos?"
Oh, I have a
Tony's
plot hole
like-
with this.
And then he's just like, "No, I don't have any clues, whatever." And they're like, "Ask Nebula," and she's like, "Oh, he's going to the garden," and they don't know where the garden is. And then Rocket or Captain Marvel, I think it was Rocket. Rocket's like, "Hey, he's right here."
Yeah, that's
then it
that's
makes sense.
something
What?
that's something that happened another time in the movie, where they say that like, oh, we've been looking for so long, but we haven't been able to find them. They said that for Hawkeye as well. and like literally the second that they like
Yeah.
need to find him, they do find him.
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I mean?
you know what that was? That was because there was they had been monitoring cosmic energy
Why?
because they were trying to find the gauntlet.
But they were just
No,
like
it makes sense, but
just the
You have
fact
to
that
look for it
they
to
like
make
just the
sense.
fact that it was so like
it
what
was
is
just
it?
so like right when they needed it. It's just like, oh, it's right here.
yeah, my
Yeah,
problem
so
is like
coincidental.
a scene earlier they had said there's no trace of him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no trace.
And then
exactly.
suddenly it's like, actually, there was a trace of him 2 days
That's
ago.
my problem with that, as well as the
They
Hawkeye
just they
stuff.
don't
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
they
that's
don't
not
agree with each
cohesive.
other,
There's
right.
no way to figure it out
However-
except right here, which is exactly what we said we couldn't do.
No. Yeah,
Okay,
I
sure.
think that's part of just movies and stories in
Yeah.
general. Is like, oh,
Yeah.
we can't do it, and then it's like, oh, you do it. That's just part of stories in general.
Yeah.
However,
I mean, if they're gonna have a
It
3
just
hour
stood out a
movie,
lot
they
in
could
this.
have added that little tiny bit. But I do get it when.
no, but I think it was feasible how they were tracking him, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
there isn't a trace of him. However, we do have this one signature. Could be him, could be not. Like, let's go check it out, kind of a thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that would be him using the stones to destroy the stones. Which, yeah. So I think that makes sense. It's just no, I can see why that. There's no trace of him, and it's like, oh wait, actually, there was
Yeah,
one from 2 days
there's
ago.
a lot of
That's
this
weird,
is the stuff
but-
that like makes me not like the movie is like the plot holes.
Yes.
But like I also look past the plot holes, which is why I do like the movie. You know.
Yeah.
So again, Sean, would you like to reiterate what you said in our very first podcast?
That doesn't help me at all. I said a lot of things in that.
Plot
Yeah.
does not equal story.
Yeah, like
So
these nitpicky things and these like logical points, whatever. I don't care this much. What I care about is like compelling characters.
but the
Yeah.
problem with that is when the plot starts to impact the story.
Yeah, when I think it can be excessive.
And that's
No.
what I feel like is happening in this movie.
I don't think it goes all the way to that.
Do you
but-
think it starts from this scene or?
No.
is it some scenes
No,
that, like-
I'm just, so basically all this stuff with I didn't have a problem with it.
Okay. is
And
it
when I
later
was
on?
watching the movie, I didn't have a problem with this stuff. But after we get into the later stuff, which is the way bigger stuff that bothers me, then I went back
We
and
might
I
want
was
to move
just
into
like,
the way bigger stuff.
Evaluate it.
oh, if we ever get into the way bigger stuff,
We can.
then I
skip
started
around.
looking back and saying, this movie was just so thrown together. Like I felt like they could have made this movie so much better if they had just taken more time instead of trying to get it a year out after Infinity.
Well, they also shot it like one after another just to make it like that, right? So it'd be continuous.
They could have given themselves more time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem.
Like, if
I
they're
have.
already gonna make you sit through, like, I'm sorry, like, Hollywood movies are not usually long, like, comparatively to other movies, but if they're gonna make it that long, and they do have that big of a fan base, they could have taken some time and extended a little bit more just in order to fit plot holes, although I doubt anyone would want to sit through that.
But the other thing is too, when you have made this whole thing and you're going back and revising your work, it's you have dealt with this so much that you know how to fill in the plot holes in your head.
But yeah.
So by like if you write a novel or whatever and you go back and you read through it, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Meanwhile, someone else who's reading it might be like, this doesn't make sense. And you're like, oh, but then this happens. And they're like, but that's not right.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
didn't say that, so.
Exactly.
What are you
It's
doing?
because you know your own work so well that
Yeah.
sometimes you forget to put in minute details.
I mean, yeah, that's why authors have editors and things like that too. I feel like they kind of missed a little step right there, but
But for what it is, I mean,
I think it
for-
was a good product.
yeah.
Could be
Alright.
better, but still good.
So, Rocket and them going into space, comical scene, like,
You ever been to space?
yeah. I was fine with that. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
I have
Captain
nothing
America
to
in
like
space.
talk about with that. Like I just acknowledge it was a good
It was
scene.
a good scene.
Nothing.
I'll yield that. That's pretty good.
All right.
Alright.
I mean, there was some misplaced humor in this movie, but we can.
No,
can get there when we
I
cross
think
it.
that's just all Marvel movies.
Hulk dab. Can we
that-
talk about that?
Nah, we have to wait till we get there. We have to wait till we get there.
Okay,
Right.
but
We have to go.
We need to quicken our pace.
We have to pick
Yeah,
it up.
okay.
We're 40 minutes
Let's
into
skip
this
around.
podcast.
And we
Right.
haven't even gotten to the...
I think
We should
do
probably
part
do this in
two.
parts.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have been suggesting
Okay,
that.
let's just
Skip
talk
everything
about.
today.
So
also been fighting
the
them,
first
so,
act. Well, Thanos cutting his head off.
So I felt like so the whole idea of just them destroying the Infinity Stones. If you think about that logically, these are the original 6 singularities of the universe,
Yeah.
and we just destroyed them.
Uh huh.
wouldn't logically that also destroy the universe?
No.
Yep.
Why?
No.
They talk about that when they go back in time, and so I was wondering that too, but like I just kind of don't want to question
No,
it.
you know what it like.
Yeah, but that's what makes
The snap of the Infinity Stones, for whatever reason, that it does whatever you want it to do. So Thanos wanted to eliminate half the universe. Snap, half the universe goes.
But if you destroy the Infinity Stones,
Right.
these are the original 6 singularities of the universe.
Yeah.
He's created
Oh,
the
that's
universe.
true.
We're going to destroy them.
in essence that doesn't
Destroys
that
the
humble.
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, the lore kind of contradicts itself because in
The
this
lore?
instance,
Do you
Oh, wait.
remember our last? Sean, you sound like your
If you
brother.
only knew the lore.
in this
God.
context of him destroying the stones, it makes it seem as if the Infinity Stones are just things that happen to exist and they don't actually control anything.
Yeah, it seems like they're just like power.
But also, you know, if you go back to when they're first explaining Infinity Stones to Iron Man in the beginning of Infinity War, I know Wong says they control these aspects of the universe.
Right.
So
And
again,
yeah.
it doesn't.
It could be like Thor's hammer, you know, like Thor's hammer, like the power resides within the universe itself, but these points are to focus that energy.
Yeah, the only thing I have to again is
I
that they
said something smart.
yes, but the problem again is like Sean was saying, they explained it like this is how this like the time stone controls time, like
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then they're like, nope, dead, destroyed, like and. So I feel like that should have destroyed the universe. So there's a
They needed to create conflict.
they needed to
conflict.
I recognize that. So that's why again, not a major thing, but a minor thing that contributes to
Yeah.
why I don't like the
Yeah.
movie.
But I can see
Them
where it
killing
goes with
Thanos in the first 10 minutes or 15
I
minutes.
thought that was a big shock. That was a like.
I think it was.
I thought that
I
it
just-
was a big shock.
I know I agree it was a shock, but like I feel like we talked about when we talked about our theories, Thanos is a great villain.
Mm.
He's
Yeah.
one of the best villains.
Yeah.
I do agree. Yeah.
Oh, I think he's the best villain in
I
MCU.
And you're-
think so.
And you're
You
just
think he's the best?
I think he's the best character.
think
Over
we talked
over
about
Killmonger? Killmonger was such a good character.
Oh God!
Yeah.
I think
we
Thanos
talked
is
about
better.
Do I
Killmonger?
hear a dog?
Nixie?
Hello.
Okay.
Alright.
No, I just believe,
Sorry.
I just believe that if you're gonna compare just the two characters, there is something lacking in both. I just put them both in number one spot. Have them tie out. End of discussion.
no, but so Thanos is a good villain. And having him just die in the first 15 minutes of this thing that you've been building up to. Because after Infinity War, we're like, oh my god, what are they going to do?
When are they going to kill Thanos?
What are they going to do with
basically?
Thanos?
Yeah.
And then it's just get gone. And I was kind
I
of
thought that was kind of cool because nobody expected it, and then also like
Expectations are
that's what you
very-
were like after Infinity War. You're like, okay, Endgame is when they're gonna kill Thanos. Like
Right.
you knew that was
Yeah,
gonna
no,
happen because you
no.
knew they couldn't lose, basically.
Yeah.
But so then you basically, when you go into Endgame, you're wondering how they're gonna do it. You're wondering
Yeah.
how they're gonna catch Thanos off his game. And when you get to the scene, you are so caught off guard because you don't expect them to kill Thanos. Like even you expect the final battle to be big, you ready? They've been trying to get Thanos this entire 3-hour movie, and they get him. Like that's what everybody went into this movie
Right.
expecting, and they get him within like the first, I want to say, half an hour of the movie.
Yeah. No,
and
the
I
thing
think that
is-
was awesome because it really shocked the fans.
I didn't have a problem with that. The reason I had a problem with this,
That
again,
was the way they did it.
is the more major stuff. Because it seems like a cop-out. Because they're like, oh, we're going to kill our major villain. But later in the movie, we're just going to bring him back.
That wasn't.
I thought I liked that though.
It really was bringing him back.
Well,
It's just like,
okay.
we need to have them fight Thanos some other way, so we're just going to use time travel.
But I did like it
I
though.
think they wanted to go along the roots of the original comics, though, because in the original comics,
If you only knew the extended...
Lore.
the original
Lore.
comics.
if only. No, in the original comics, Thanos, once he completes his mission is to wipe out half the universe, and once he does that, he's like, I'm retiring. So, in general, he's based. I don't know. He's the only villain that's had like. He's actually stuck with his goal, and like once he completes his goal, which is awful, but like
Yeah, he made a promise and he kept
did.
it.
made a
Unpopular
promise,
opinion,
he
I support
completed it,
Thanos.
and then he's done. He just-
No, really.
Yeah.
True talk.
No, the problem with Thanos is ideals. Last time when we talked about
yeah.
Marvel, I said that Thanos is right, but it hit me that hey, these populations are just gonna grow back, and then it's not like a long
But
term fix.
5 years later, they didn't though.
We'll eventually hit a
Yeah,
Keurig.
but what
It's
about
5
like,
years.
what about like
I'm
100 years
saying,
later?
yeah. So 100 years is not a big deal.
You know, I
And
mean,
he destroyed the stone, so he can't do it again.
and I mean, population growth is
Maybe he
dependent
should have
on,
kept
on
the
how much
stones,
there is,
alright?
but it is
Maybe he
exponential.
should've.
It's gonna get back eventually.
Yeah,
So
and
it
it's-
doesn't.
Unless it
it's not a permanent fix.
exponentially goes down.
No,
Unless-
like, let's just think of the population here. Like you're going, half.
Yeah, but the human population at least was half of today's population in the 1950s.
Yeah,
That's not that long ago.
yeah.
I mean,
We have the baby
if
boomers
you're-
to blame for that.
If you're really thinking about it like that, then yeah, there's a definite like, okay, going. But like, I don't know. If you destroy half the population, they're gonna come back eventually. If you
Right.
like spelt like illness or something, like, oh, I curse you, like to always gonna be half of the population.
You're embarrassing me in front of the wizard.
Oh my god.
All right,
Um,
what's next?
So,
we gotta
so
go.
yes. Thor decapitating Thanos. I aim for the head. Good. I liked it. Funny
Nice.
line.
And then
Um,
after that, the rest of the first act is everyone being depressed / everyone,
Yes.
recruiting
I wasn't
everyone.
a huge fan of this, but I mean, it fit.
Yeah, I thought it was slow. I thought there
was-
was like
it
a
was
bunch of
too
stuff I
much.
didn't need,
Before
like
we
the
get
taco
into that-
scene. We didn't need a taco
The
scene.
taco scene was funny, but like unneeded. You're right.
All right. So before we get into that, the transition.
Uh-huh.
The screen just goes black after they kill Thanos.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about
I
that?
thought that was fitting.
Roll credits. That's what I thought. That's
I
exactly
feel
what I
like
thought.
that
3 hours of credits.
Dude, that would be so good. I would imagine like
That's my
paying-
favorite part.
Imagine like you know how some people like pay a ton of money for the tickets if you don't get them early enough and they sell out and you like buy them online for like $1,000.
Yes.
Imagine if it were like a 2-minute movie and you buy like $10,000
2-minute
tickets
movie
online and you
has
go
this many people.
credit rolls and you're just there and you're like I spent $10,000 on this ticket.
Oh, these people are so important.
All right. So 5 years later. Okay, concept I'm okay with, but the real problem is when we get into the actual thing.
Hold on, can I just say, I thought...
This pillow's so pretty.
Oh, God. Okay, I thought that with Steve doing the counseling, I thought that was really interesting because it was sort of like an allusion to Sam doing the PTSD counseling in one of the earlier movies. I don't remember which one. I think it was Civil War, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like one big movie to me. But it was an allusion to that, so I think it kind of foreshadowed him giving the mantle off to Sam.
I thought that the only thing I didn't like, I liked the scene, but the only thing I didn't like about was that like how he was motivating people to move on, yet he wasn't moving on.
Yeah.
himself.
It had been like,
You know.
what, 50 years?
Yeah.
Say that this guy.
That was my thing with that, but
You know
what?
I thought it was fine.
You're
overall.
very right. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
He's preaching
He's-
about moving on, but in the end, he goes back with Peggy.
Yeah, and not even just about that. Like
Yeah,
moving
Character
on,
problem.
moving on from Thanos.
Yeah,
Like,
I
he
have
hasn't
zero
moved on from
problems with
Thanos.
that.
No, I think that's a character flaw. Like, how many times have you ever told someone, like, oh, you should love yourself,
Definitely.
and then, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's rather than a character problem, it's a character flaw genuinely
But
put
it's
in there.
but it's not something that he overcomes. He just like he
Yeah.
goes back with Peggy and that's it. Oh, now I don't need to deal with
Yeah.
loss anymore. It's
Yeah.
over. Okay,
Yeah, well-
no growth.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
but all right.
So
No,
another,
no characters
another
are
thing I
like
have with
80.
the counseling
True.
scene, it was just slow.
Yeah, very
I
slow.
agree.
It was
The
kind
entire
of,
first act is slow.
The beginning was very slow.
Yep.
I think it was poignant, though, because the whole world had come to a
The
standstill.
whole world is slow.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, I can definitely see
It
that.
really was
Like
a
when
change of
devastation
pace,
hits,
but-
like people move slower and stuff.
Ooh.
Like just generally.
I loved Black Widow's hair. When it was
She
grown
was really
out,
purty.
I was like, yes.
She was pretty. Speaking of hair, Captain Marvel's hair, wow, short-lived. That was a little sudden. I mean, yes, it's
Yeah.
like in the comics, but like you didn't need to do it this soon. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
You have an
Um,
entire.
I don't know, I was a fan of it.
Yes, but like it was just so sudden. You
They-
know,
they
like,
needed
she
to-
she had her first movie and then bam, hey,
Yeah.
new haircut. You know what I
I mean,
mean? Like
I-
maybe in her next movie.
I don't know about you, but personally, I don't think it matters that much. When,
I
she
just,
gets the
like,
haircut.
it doesn't-
When
it
she gets the
doesn't
haircut
matter.
matters.
It doesn't
can't
like
be
matter,
now.
but it was just like
There
sudden,
needs to be at
you know?
least 3 movies before you get the haircut. Come on, get with the
2.5.
program.
What are you talking about?
Like, the thing I have is like, why wouldn't she just have started off with that haircut? You know what I mean?
Why
like,
do we care about the hair?
Because
The hair
it's been like one
It
movie,
took
and she couldn't
Steve-
last with one haircut.
This took Steve 20 movies to grow a beard.
Yeah, see, look at that.
This
How
is the
many
least of
movies?
the problems
How
with
many
this
movies
movie.
did it take
This is
for
what I'm
Thor to get a
talking
haircut? Okay.
Oh my god. Too many. His
too many.
eyebrows in the first one when they dyed them blonde. I was
Oh my
gonna
God,
vomit.
All right, moving on.
So yeah, the problem I have with the whole 5 years later thing is the fact that nobody ages or they don't age correctly.
Yeah.
Scott Lang's daughter is like 5 or 8. She's like 8, and then she's like
15.
ridiculous. She ages like 10 years.
No, I
Yeah.
know.
Like what?
Yeah,
And then the kids in Peter's high school don't age at all.
That's what I was going to talk about at the end. Is,
because they all got
you know
snapped.
Right.
how
That's because
when
they got
How
snapped.
how does an entire
Hey.
high school get snapped?
It's just done conveniently so they can keep going with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But
It's
so
like,
you
that
know,
doesn't matter.
like
Who
you know
cares?
how
Like,
at the
Yeah,
end,
and honestly,
It's a logical
it's not
decision.
you know
randomly,
how at
it's
the
like
end
randomly
when
get everyone
they
to
bring
school,
the
you
people
know, like,
back, how they were talking
randomly.
about we're gonna bring the people back the people from 5
Yes.
years ago into this like
Yes.
current time. Like I thought that was a big plot hole with like. Say if you had like people that were like a year apart or something like that, bringing the people like 5 years back, they would still be like, they'd now be like 4 years
Yes,
or like
it's
4 years
ridiculous.
younger
It's
than
gonna
them.
be interesting. Like
that'd
how
be
they,
so awkward if you
Yeah,
had,
that's another
like,
thing. Sean, you were talking with me before this about how every Marvel movie has lined up with a year early.
Right, but now it's going to be interesting because Spider-Man comes out in a month, and it's going to be set in 2024.
Yes.
That's going to be very strange.
I just,
I actually don't like that
I
at all.
don't even know.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, that's what I had problems with. Whatever we were
Yeah,
talking about.
alright.
Let's go.
we have a throw.
So-
5 years later. Okay, so next, the
Oh, do you have
rat.
something to add to that, Sean?
Oh
The
yeah,
rat.
We have to talk about the
talked
rat.
so long.
Oh, that rat.
We had a podcast, Jillian, where we talked about our Endgame theories.
Oh, yeah.
Before the movie came out. And we
Uh-huh.
talked so long about how Scott was gonna get out of the quantum realm.
Oh yes.
You're like, oh yeah, Ghost is gonna come.
I had theories.
And
That was,
Ghost is
that
gonna.
was only you.
That was
no,
me.
He said
that
Ghost.
was
would come.
me.
I said Luis would come.
Oh, stop.
No,
My
but-
theory,
but it turned out to be a rat.
Yes.
which is okay.
So originally, I thought this is stupid. Why do we have a rat coming across? Not like, and someone told me this earlier. Is you know when Doctor Strange was doing his thing to see all the different possibilities?
Yes.
Think about how many of those were the rat
Involved a
pushing
rat,
the wrong
yeah.
button.
That's why there's only one
Like,
successful.
yeah,
Big
it's
thing
not
versus on the rat.
because of
The
Thanos.
rat
It's because
better
of
hit
the
the right
freaking
It's
rat.
the real thing.
But
It's not Louise, it's the rat.
So yes, originally I had a problem with that. But then, now that I think about it, I don't have a problem with the rat because the rat is a symbol.
Oh god.
The
The rat is Louise, Sean.
No.
Sean's
The-
leaving.
The rat symbolizes the bigger rat that is the entire movie.
that is. The thing,
Oh, it just happened to stumble across the correct
Yes.
sequence of events.
but
Yes.
I also like
Oh.
appreciate that more than like. Imagine, say, if like one of the main characters went and accidentally found the quantum realm thing.
Yeah.
Like I felt like this was
That
better
would've
than
been-
that,
yeah.
especially because like everybody believed he got dusted. So like imagine, say, like this is just made up example, but imagine if like Captain America was just like walking around and he stumbled upon this like quantum realm thing and he pressed the button. Like that would be so stupid. This is so much better than a character finding him. You know what I mean?
Again, if
Also-
we had Ghost find him, it would have
How-
been okay.
How
Yeah,
did they
that-
know everyone who was dusted? Like, no, I mean, when they
We don't
made
even
those,
know if Ghost is. Did we know if Ghost was dusted?
No, we don't.
When-
Ghost's just gone.
when they made those huge monuments, how did they know that people were dusted? I mean, obviously,
They took a census. It was the census year.
2020.
I think
mean-
they just like assumed anyone who disappeared that day was dusted.
But
That's why Scott was on.
some people were kidnapped. Some people died.
You don't know.
Literally, someone could be rotting in a dumpster, and they're like, they were dusted.
I
They'll
mean, that's
come
better
back.
to believe.
Like, no, they're rotting in a dumpster behind the local bar. Like,
I don't know.
You know.
people didn't go looking for those
Again,
who disappeared.
but that logical point wasn't really important to me. You know, what was important to me was that. Oh, I'm stealing Jillian's seat.
No, I'm just stretching my legs.
What was important to me was that,
Thanks, I
you know,
really
it
wanna
shows
see
how this has actually impacted
We-
society. This is a big event.
Downstairs?
No, we're talking, guys. Come
Later,
on.
you'll- you'll
Focus.
know.
Focus. We got 3 hours to get through. 3
Oh my
hours.
I really think we should just make 2 parts.
We'll see.
But not gather 2 times, just record it all right now.
Okay. So, basically,
It's gonna be a two-parter.
it probably will be, honestly.
Yeah, we can just like pause for a second and then like cut this in half. So.
Yeah.
I'm
We
glad we're
can
discussing this
take
right
a break
now.
and play Mario Kart.
And we can
Super Smash Bros.
we can edit this part out. We're just talking about our plan.
Yes.
Or I
Yeah.
could just keep it in because
No, you're still.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
viewers
think-
will love
I
this.
think Paul is yet to cut something out.
Yeah.
Paul,
You know what?
I have literally cut out no.
This
Paul,
is like
I
the
can put
shading
something in
scene.
that you want to
Miss
cut out.
McKay
It
is
is
one
like
of
the-
ours.
yes,
Like
Miss
she
McKay, the
interjects and
library
we
is-
don't cut it out. She's just in it.
All right, we have to keep going.
Okay.
I'm sorry to
I'm the
the members
timekeeper.
wearing headphones.
Okay.
This is really loud.
Yes.
People are sad. They and then Scott comes up with his, BS theory
Yes.
of how they're gonna
Time
go back
travel.
in time.
Yes.
Which
No.
but
So,
okay,
so ready?
Paul, go.
Right? So our theory, the quantum realm proposition. Sean, if I remember correctly, in that you said that was a stupid theory and that would never come true. Correct? You said that it's not probable and it would not come true.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that.
So, basically,
The quantum realm was much more important than I expected it to be. I can agree with
the
that.
writers of Avengers Endgame basically took what we said
I have another plot hole with this.
of
Just
the
wanna
quantum
say.
realm being either a go-between between. We said it was going to be a go-between between the people who died and the people who are alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
They
what
were
we
just
thought.
they basically said, you know what, we're going to use it for time travel,
There
which is even more ridiculous than our theory.
There was
I just
some.
want to
It's not
say
false.
plot hole. When whoever Hope's mom was in the
Yes, Hope.
quantum realm.
What's her? Eva?
When her mom was in the quantum realm, she aged like a ton.
Yes.
And like when they
That
go in
doesn't
the
make
quantum
sense.
realm, they do not age.
Because it's random and chaotic,
It's
never
random
know what
and
Yeah,
happens.
chaotic.
yeah, but like
Yes. And,
I don't
okay,
know. Just
so
saying.
ready? I know this is a complete logical
Also,
tangent.
the quantum realm was completely revamped because when
It
we see
was.
Scott go into it the first time, and then we see Hank go into it,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same, and then now it's filled with tunnels.
Yeah, that's weird.
Also,
It's the
hold on.
quantum realm.
How did people who went to the quantum realm breathe if they were smaller than oxygen atoms?
Photosynthesis.
Fair. That's fair. No, but this is a complete logical tangent here. Is
Illogical or logical?
Maybe
That's
their
not how
suits.
quantum
Maybe
physics
their
work.
suits had oxygen in
that's,
it.
that's straight up not how quantum physics works
So
at all.
the problem is,
Yeah,
this is a summer flick.
Yeah.
I know, but what I'm saying is
I guess a spring flick.
it is.
Also,
time is continuous.
we're not in the real
Time is
world.
not.
No matter even if from different
We're in a
relative
fantasy
positions,
movie
Time
right
is
now. I just
what?
wanna say
What
that.
is it?
even if you're in different relative
want?
positions and you see time
Timey-wimey.
differently, like the extent of the time, you still can't go back in time. No matter how small you get, no matter how fast you go,
Well,
you
maybe
can't
I
go back in
can.
time.
Okay.
But it's the
Maybe
fourth
if I really
dimension.
want
We just
to.
don't know how to move on it yet.
We're
yes.
we're in a fantasy movie here.
I-
Just
I-
want to say that.
I
Yeah.
will suspend my disbelief for time travel, which first of all is a basic plot element in itself.
Yeah.
Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Like that was.
We did not. Did we talk about time traveling during
I
our
knew-
theories?
I
We talked
knew-
about Doctor Strange with the time stone, but we didn't talk about time
Time
It's
travel
just time
was
traveling is so
confirmed
basic.
before
It's
this.
so
We
basic.
did talk
Yeah,
about
but we-
traveling back in time to one Thor's bringing down the hammer.
Right.
And
Yes.
just like putting it in the head.
Yes.
But time travel, or at least time jumps, was confirmed before this because when they released the cast list and they had the older Ant-Man daughter.
Yeah.
That was we knew going into it that there was either going to be a big time
Oh,
jump or.
thankfully
a
I
time-
didn't
I
hear about
had
that.
also
well, you
seen.
did, but
I-
we did.
But no, but that came
Yeah,
out like
we were
it came out
looking at
before
theories,
Infinity
we
War
never
came
looked
out.
at it.
Yeah, I had also
Like
seen
I thought that
I'll
was going to
take
be
it back.
Infinity War.
behind the
It's been out
scenes
for a while.
pictures for Endgame, like with Loki in the original Avengers outfit, and then like everyone who had these weird suits on with like these wicked
Yeah.
odd bracelets, which ended up being those.
Which we have to
quantum
talk about
jigs.
later, but yes. No.
So
But yeah, no, like it just seemed like a way for them to get around what they did in Infinity War. Like it wasn't, and it wasn't like a creative.
But like I did appreciate how they didn't directly go back to like the day they were fighting Thanos. Like
No,
I
that's-
appreciated how they made it different instead of like completely going back and redoing
Like,
Infinity War itself.
aim
They
for the head
redid.
instead,
Yeah,
you know,
like
like-
yeah, exactly
Yeah.
like that. So I appreciate the fact that they did do it differently.
No, that's fair. But
Yeah,
I
they
just
rehashed
think
it.
I just thought they were uncreative in their method for doing it.
They were like a weird type of uncreative because it was
But
still
I
like creative,
also-
but like a weird basic type.
I
of
also
creative.
liked how it wasn't just like them fighting Thanos, like just preparing to fight Thanos again. Like I liked how this was different than just being like, all right, we're gonna make our army big and fight him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I thought this was a nice twist, and I also I'm a really big fan of the time travel. Like popular belief in this room, Paul, but I really liked it because it like allowed us to reflect on the movies, which is probably like my
think it
favorite
has
Okay,
aspect.
symbolic
I'm-
value.
And the
I
thing
love
is,
the
they
reflections.
say when they introduce time travel, they say that it doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it. You know, like
Yeah,
I think they
Hulk
say it
said
multiple
that.
No,
times.
no, 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 they
Like
said
who
that-
know, like
No,
what
they
is
said-
confusing and
they
whatever
said
in
the
physics.
exact-
Who cares?
They said the exact opposite, actually. Hulk says, all these other movies, time travel's wrong.
All these other movies. He said.
AKA Back to the Future,
Future,
all that stuff. He
Die
basically-
Hard.
He's like, all these movies got it wrong. We're gonna do it right. And the thing that pisses me off is they didn't do it right.
Hey,
But
how do
there
you
is
know they
no
didn't do it
right.
Oh, wait,
No,
are you
no.
time traveling?
No, what I'm saying is
Your parts get crazy.
the theories that they use,
JP English is quaking.
first of all, are fundamentally flawed. Second of all, when they actually do
I don't know if any
it,
of
they
the
do it in
viewers
the wrong way.
understand you.
I'll draw out a diagram and stuff when we actually get talking about the
Are
diagram
they gonna
and stuff.
see that?
I can.
Yeah, she's gonna. take
I'll
a
put in.
picture.
I'll put in.
Oh.
I pray for our viewers.
But
This needs to be a 2-part video.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're already
If
an
not
hour in.
3-part.
So yeah, no, the basics of time travel in
Sounds
this
like
movie.
stressed right now because we're an hour into the podcast. We haven't even
It's
started
gonna
the time
take
travel
2
yet.
parts. Calm down.
So yeah, no, I was okay with the reflection stuff. I thought it was a good idea to reflect back on the old movies. The only problem I had with the reflection on the old movies was they ruined some of the old movies.
What did they ruin?
Loki getting away with the Tesseract.
Yeah, hold on.
That was. I don't think that was
Jill
necessarily.
takes it back after
I do not think that was necessarily the Russo brothers. That's the directors, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The Russo brothers' fault because, as we know, Disney is making their spin-off Netflix where they have Marvel shows, and they needed a way to get Loki
Oh, I don't
because they have their
I-
Loki show
no,
coming back, which
we
I'm
don't
probably
have
not going to watch, to be quite honest. But they needed that, so Disney might have been like, "Hey, give us this because we have the Loki show coming back."
There are a lot
You know
of
what I mean?
studio
So we're not. We
problems that
can't be
come up.
positive that this was necessarily the Russo's brothers' fault.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
But-
surprised if.
Because I
in-
think that's why that was.
I'm
in there.
excited
Yeah,
though
there's
because
a lot
I'm a
of
really
movies
big
like
fan of Loki, and I just don't want him to die by swinging his friggin' butter knife on Thanos.
Peter Quill getting knocked out.
Yes, but I loved seeing him dancing, and then like
Yeah.
No, that was funny.
when
I agree. That was
when
funny.
we saw him dancing, and we realized that he had headphones in, and he was still like singing, and it was so that was like that was probably one of my favorite parts.
Okay,
Um,
so the thing is, Paul, they're gonna put the Power Stone back. Well, Cap puts the Power Stone back. Peter's gonna wake up and just get it again.
because that's
Same
exactly.
thing happens.
Okay.
Loki. I mean, I can't say this is going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the Loki show, he like goes around on all these adventures, and at the end of the show, he ends up back in the Asgard prison. So Thor 2 can happen,
I
Yeah.
heard.
and then
I
just
think
comes full
that's
yeah.
circle.
How it's gonna
I
happen.
heard that the show is going to be him going around to historical events and being an unlikely influencer in some of those things, like Hitler.
Oh,
Loki's
like
fault.
what is it? What's that show? Is it Legends of Tomorrow?
Oh my
that does
god,
that?
Oh, I
Loki's
love
the
that
reason
show.
I
that
haven't
Hitler was
seen it,
rejected
but I've
from
heard
art
about it.
school.
The
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good.
Y'all,
Is it good? I'm
Yes.
trying to watch it.
Yes,
please. I need
But,
that in my life.
Yeah,
That Loki's one of the admissions counselors at the art school that Hitler applies to, and he rejects him.
Yes! Are you kidding? Yes!
He would. He's like, I know how this one goes.
This is what needs to happen. Destruction.
Oh man. But the problem is, how would Loki do that with the Space Stone?
You know, right time.
He
right
can
time.
teleport.
Yeah, but he can't travel in time.
Dang it.
maybe.
Yeah, he can. What are you
Hey,
talking
what are you
about?
talking about? What do you mean?
Hey, the Avengers figured it out. I'm sure Loki can too.
And so,
Avengers are dumb.
yeah, the other problem I had with the reflection on the old movies was their movie choice. Avengers, cool. I liked it.
Avengers was good.
Guardians of the Galaxy, good.
I
Liked
thought
it.
that was good because it linked the
I know where
Guardians
this is
and the
going.
Avengers.
Cough, cough. Thor: The Dark World.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
spent-
Can we talk about that one?
We spent 20 minutes of this film
They just
literally
Marvel was trying to convince us that we
inside
wanted to
of
like
Thor
the Dark World.
2.
Why?
They were like,
I like Thor
Get out! Get out!
I liked it.
If I was in
Marvel
charge,
was trying to
so
convince us that we actually did like Thor 2 by putting it in
didn't.
Endgame.
We didn't
They're like,
like
you know,
it.
let's try again.
I
Maybe
thought
we'll
it was
watch
a
Thor
really
2.
integral part of Thor's story, and
No.
it really helped develop him as a character, which is why he went back to that, because again,
But it is
The most
suiting
influential.
that this current Thor that is a literal drunk, beat up guy is
Maybe-
in Thor
maybe-
2. Like,
maybe
of all the Thor
Juxtaposition.
movies, we would want him in Thor
Yeah.
2, just to
So-
symbolize how bad the movie is.
no, I think this whole movie is about going back to your roots and remembering where you came from.
Why not Thor
Thor
1
1?
then? Please.
So the problem is they need a place for the reality stone
Collector!
is.
Please, the Collector.
No,
And also
I
they
agree.
wanted Thor to go to Asgard again. They wanted him to talk to his mom.
yeah, no, because Paul,
it's the
Thor
only
1
way.
takes place in on Earth.
Arizona or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say Texas, but whatever.
Somewhere-
But what I'm saying
No
is...
one knows. There's tumbleweeds and sand.
Okay, it might be
ready?
in Mexico or something.
Yeah, I think it is
New
in Mexico.
Mexico.
So, barring that the Incredible Hulk movie does not exist,
Oh God.
Thor 2
Let's
is the
not talk
worst
about
MCU movie.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you think?
No.
I'm thinking
Okay, this is completely
Ultron?
divergent of what we were talking
Ultron's
about.
pretty bad. I don't like Thor.
No,
I didn't
Thor
like
2...
Civil War.
I
Thor
need
2...
to step in
I
right
like
now.
Civil War.
Thor
I
2
didn't.
is objectively the worst MCU movie.
What do
I
you
think
of
I
this
agree with
movie
that.
is?
Other than Hulk, yes.
The worst.
Other
movie?
barring that
Hulk-
Incredible
Hulk
Hulk does
doesn't
not
count.
exist. It does
It
not
does not
exist.
count.
We forget that movie entirely.
Is there Mark Ruffalo?
The
I
No.
don't forget
general.
that movie exists too.
No, he's just not there. Incredible Hulk
Are
not
we
there.
including X-Men movie?
X-Men movies are good. I love those.
But there's some bad ones out
All
there.
right, but yes, Thor 2 is the worst MCU movie objectively.
I have to agree with that.
Why are we in this film?
They just want to convince us that we actually do like it.
But we
No,
don't.
they
It's
needed
like-
the
They're just
the
trying
cast
again.
of the
It's
movie,
round
the
two.
way
They
it's
wanted to go to
happening,
Asgard
the
for
way-
Thor, and they needed a place for the reality stone.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
And they needed
And
Mjolnir back.
you know what it is? It's
It could be like a weird section of Thor. I don't even
no.
know.
Well, Thor really just lost his brother, and he's beat up about it. Thinks it's his fault, kind of a thing.
He
Like,
is
watch the dude die, becomes an alcoholic, literally just playing Fortnite with Corgan.
Yes,
because
I love Cog.
Can we talk about that?
no, not yet, not until I'm finished. So by him going back and talking to his mother who died, and he never really got to reconcile with him. I guess it's. I don't.
It's a good. I think it's a good.
It's
place.
almost heartbreaking to see him go back because suddenly his appearance is different, and he's realizing that his mother is alive in the time that they are. First of all, Loki is alive and he's in the dungeons, and second of all, his mother's alive. So to have him go back and be able to talk to one of them, regrettably, like, he's wondering if he's still going to be accepted because he has fallen into this deep depression about Loki. And so and that's the whole thing with Mjolnir. He doesn't know if he's still worthy. He's really just down on himself. So by Frigga coming over and being like, oh, my son, and still
unconditionally loving.
yeah, she just accepts him the way that he is. And I feel like that is just, it's so heartwarming because you have this character who's just so strong all the time, and then because he's above being human, because he's not, and he's this ethereal being, but he
still has that.
Speaking
he's
of
broken down.
speaking of a new Thor, drunk Thor, I'm not really sure what my opinion is on it.
Yeah.
When they first showed it, I
Yeah,
was like,
let's-
"Oh my god, this is so funny!" But I kind of thought that they were gonna he was gonna clean up throughout the movie,
But he doesn't.
but he doesn't, and I don't know. I don't know if I like that, and the fact that at least they were stable with him and they didn't clean him up suddenly. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm a fan of it, and the fact that they were yeah, we're not gonna clean him up unrealistically and make him lose 50 pounds unrealistically. You know what I mean?
agree.
But also it was kind of annoying in a sense as well.
My problem is that, firstly, they took his arc in a completely different direction from the
Yeah.
other movies. I think they lost focus there.
Yep.
It didn't
Good
land
coverage.
for me. Sarah had all those interesting points, but it wasn't executed well.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the mother. Who cares about the mother?
Hey!
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
I forgot
Hey!
about the mother.
Yes.
Guys, I don't-
Nobody cares
And-
about the mom.
and you
Thor
talk
cares
about-
his mom.
And you talk about how he didn't know if he was worthy, and that's why the lifting the hammer was such a big deal. But they didn't really
Emphasize
convey that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They turned it into a joke. Yay, I'm still worthy, and the whole theater laughs.
Yeah,
so that wasn't really done
Okay.
well.
And then
Yeah.
And also,
that entire
and-
scene. That entire scene. You can
Also, I hated
And
the
also, the fact that Thor was overweight became the joke over and over and
Yes.
over again, and
Yeah.
it just turned into fat shaming. Really,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that
like
I can't give
I
behind.
actually it felt disrespectful.
Yeah.
The
It was
Also, I didn't like how Rocket kind of carried that scene. Like, it's Thor's
Yes.
world. I felt like he should have. You know how they were like, Rocket was like, oh, I'm going, like, Thor, you have to do this. You have to man up. And Thor was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then he just, like, walks away. Like, I thought that he should have had that encounter with his mother and then manned up or something like that. But just the fact that, like, Rocket did it all, I was like,
Yes.
oh, this is.
Okay.
There's this
where-
weird
what
bond
Thor has
between
become.
Rocket and Thor that formed earlier in the Infinity War, and I'm not sure how much
I appreciate it.
I
yes.
do too.
I love it. I
But-
love Thor with the Guardians. I love
I
it.
do appreciate that. Don't get me wrong.
Him and
Especially
Quill.
because doesn't Thor understand Groot? So that's
Yeah,
why
he
he calls
does.
him Tree instead of Groot because his name. Yeah, I really do.
So,
love that, but-
okay, so I feel like we've jumped ship
was an
here, guys.
elective, yeah.
We've kind of jumped over the entire meeting scene, but I think we should focus on Thor: Dark World because that's what we've been talking about.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Thor the Dark
But
World.
it's okay.
And then
all
we'll
these
go back.
characters-
I
all these
actually
characters
never
are just
finished Thor the Dark World.
going back to the places they needed to be just to recollect themselves and either like change and go somewhere else or not change and just go back to what they used to be.
Okay, so specifically with this scene, especially with Thor's mother,
Yeah.
Thor goes to his mother, and he runs into her. I don't think he actually like intentionally goes to her,
Right.
and
Yeah.
she's just like, Thor, what's with you? And then he's just like, oh, I'm fine. And she's just like, you're from the future. And he's like, how do you know? He's basically like, how do you know that? And his mother's response is, I have the quote right here. I was raised by witches, boy. I see with more than eyes, and you know that. Do you know how ridiculous that is?
Yeah.
Her response to, I know you're from the future, is not, your eye is messed up, you're fat, it's, I was raised by witches.
Yeah, but like
What?
I thought that was like she doesn't want to like say that right.
Yeah,
then.
like that's,
You know
she
what I
doesn't
mean?
want to say
Like,
that.
she
Oh,
knows.
you're fat. I know you're different.
She
That's
knows.
not it. She knows.
Hence why she sees with more her eyes because she sees with her heart
And
she
she,
realizes that
um,
he's sensitive.
she sees
about
And
her
like
heart, I
she,
like that.
and the fact that
Bam.
she sees with more than eyes is that the fact that she knows that there is time travel. You know, she's not necessarily like the fact that she knows that time travel is possible. You know what I mean?
She's more than just like in that moment. She knows everything.
Also, problems with this scene, Jane Foster. Why is Natalie Portman here?
Because
didn't
she
do
has the
anything,
reality
though.
stone. That's why.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
But
See, that is
we
the-
didn't
like
hear.
I,
she
like they
do
didn't
anything.
actually give her any lines. You know?
Why
So
was
I wasn't-
Rocket trying to convince Thor to go flirt with Jane Foster?
because he wanted her to be
Stone.
distracted
I know,
so he
but-
could take the stone.
But and another thing, Sean was saying that Captain America didn't move on. Thor is fawning over this girl
Yeah.
that we haven't talked about since what, 2013?
Yeah.
Why?
It's the sort of thing.
He wasn't like really though. I mean, yes, he was like, oh my god, this is the girl I used to date, but it wasn't like he was
I've been
really
in love with her
infatuated
for
with her.
eternity.
You know what I
It's-
mean?
the sort of thing where you grow so close to someone and then suddenly you just stop talking. You know what I mean? And then suddenly you're put back into a scenario where it's just like old times again, and there's going to be a lot of
Things to
weird
catch up on,
emotions
yeah.
over that, like just a flood of things that you used to feel before, and like it's
Near
weird
exposure.
and it's kind of
Stop.
stressful.
No psychology.
And so I think he was stressed out more than just seeing her. It was like the fact that he's kind of moved on, but now being back in this scenario.
Also,
it's-
being back in
yeah.
time too, like necessarily
Yeah.
being
Like,
like,
the
oh my
fact
god,
that-
she might look at me and think that like at this point, like she never wants to like continue with me. You know
exactly. He's like, I could screw up what
I
was
had,
screwed up, but yeah.
It could be that so many people were snapped away that just an old face that he hasn't even seen. Like there's so many people gone that someone who's not there.
Which I think was so important for him to see his mother too, because obviously Loki was wicked close with Frigga. Like he was torn up about her death. So to have Loki ripped away from him, to have something so close to him with Thor was just, you know, it was meaningful without actually having him there.
Alright, last thing about this scene before I think we move on, because I think we've talked about this for a while.
Yeah.
It's a good scene.
No.
The one? No.
Hey.
It was not.
It's a controversial
Good scene,
scene.
bad
How about
movie.
that?
The other more nitpicky plot thing was the entire purpose of Thor: The Dark World was getting the Reality Stone out of Jane Foster and keeping it away from Malekith.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket gets the Reality Stone out of Jane Foster
Oh,
in
yeah,
2
was-
seconds
But they
was
already
with
sick.
the
know
weird
how.
little space syringe thing.
They
Yeah.
already know how to. In that movie, they're figuring out how to.
No, but don't they use magic in Thor: The Dark World to get it out?
But like,
Rocket just comes in with this thing and just
but
pokes
they're
her.
like, oh, we can do
Got the
this.
Reality Stone, let's go.
Like
Yeah, I
they
don't
have
remember.
experience with the stones, though.
But why
now.
why would why would Rocket know that?
Because he's been with Thor. He's literally with
Yes,
Thor
I
right
was gonna
now.
talk about
He's
how to get
with
the
Thor.
realities.
He's with Nebula. He's with everybody. They at least know.
They've had.
They had like a whole screen in the conference room about everything that had to do with the stone. Like I'm sure there was something on there that
Yes.
they
I
could
feel
have
like
used.
they discussed it. They didn't just go in with like, oh my god,
We're gonna
we had a
use
plan.
this
To extract the
pen
Reality
to get
Stone.
Guys, I think after we finish this scene, we should probably cut this short. It's been an hour and 15 minutes.
Jesus
I
Christ.
think we should
Okay.
be going in 3 parts at least right now.
Okay, so
No, I think we can do it
Okay,
in
what
2.
what I say is we go back to them gathering the crew, and then cut it after that.
Yeah. Can we
Alright.
talk about Hulk real quick?
Okay, so yes,
Oh no.
They go-
No.
because Tony
Oh,
Stark's
we cut over my most controversial part, the Hawkeye scene. No.
So we'll go back to it. Alright,
We'll hit
so,
it. We'll hit it.
So first, before they go to Hulk, Scott's like, "Yo, time travel. It's gonna work. I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's gonna work."
Yeah, we talked about this. We talked
So,
about
I
it.
thought
they go
the
to see
Hulk was
Tony.
Too much.
Yeah,
And Tony's like, "No, I'm not gonna do it."
right.
Understandable.
Tony
Tony's got a
Stark
family.
was so cute.
Fine with that.
I love
Oh,
you, 3000.
I love you 3000.
Oh my god.
No, and oh my god, with the helmet.
That's
when-
actually a real quote from whatever Robert Downey.
Yeah,
Jr.
yeah.
I just want to say that. So.
No, and you know what it is? It's so funny. She's so smart because it's like, I love you a ton, which is 2,000 pounds. I love you 3,000. It's like, I love you more. But like, when she's out in the yard, it's like, oh, your mom never wears the things I buy her anyway. That's foreshadowing. I love foreshadowing. Because Pepper ends up wearing that same helmet in the suit. Whatever, sorry, continue.
I
I'm
want to talk
excited.
about that when we get there.
So yes, so they go to Tony, and Tony's like, "No, I'm not gonna do it." Understandable. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm not okay with is Tony going down into the basement and
No,
figuring out
actually,
time travel.
the kitchen table.
Okay, the kitchen table and figuring out time
Oh,
travel
you don't
in
understand, Paul.
a day.
He accounts for the coefficient.
He had an algorithm.
That's
Wait,
why.
Not a
but-
heuristic.
Algorithm.
Tony Stark has never studied quantum physics,
Yeah, but he's a computer.
and he just comes up and he's
It's
just
not
like,
him.
"Time
He's just like,
travel. I can
calculate
just make
for
a
this."
twirly thing and make time travel work."
Kobe strip.
Like, it'd make more sense for like Hank Pym or someone who actually
But
understands
he's
quantum.
But
working with
he's
Friday.
dust.
I know, but
gone.
they just go to Tony Stark and they're like, "We need you," and he's like,
Yeah,
"No."
but Tony,
and then he's just like,
it's Tony's
"Bam, time
computer.
travel."
It's not him.
Yeah,
it's his
it's
computer.
Friday. Friday is a database. It's not all made from him. Stop singing that, Sean.
To the weekend.
Rebecca Black.
Oh god.
All right.
not even
But
Tony
yeah,
Stark.
so I had a problem with Tony just figuring out time travel on a whim without unsolicited.
Yeah.
Paul knows he's wrong though.
How do I know I'm wrong?
Because it was the computer and not Tony Stark.
You gotta admit your defeats. Paul.
Then they go to see Hulk.
Oh my god.
So,
Hulk
okay.
was
Oh,
overdone.
Hulk.
I
Can
said
we keep Hulk for the next one? Can we
it was
Can I talk about
either
Hulk?
Thor or Hulk. You had to choose one character to do that too. You
Yes.
couldn't do both.
Yes,
So the
sure,
thing
sure.
with
I would have
Hulk.
kept Thor personally.
Hulk's entire arc is about
Yeah.
you know Bruce Banner's struggle with the monster inside
It's
of
also
him.
symbolic because in the Infinity War when he couldn't get it up, now it's his insecurities with not getting it up in this movie.
Yeah, but you're right. You know, because he is the Hulk, and they talk about this in Incredible Hulk, they talk about this in Age of Ultron. Because he is the Hulk, he's incapable of love, and he's incapable of being loved. You know, that's why he needs to escape from, you know, reality. He's to, you know, live in India.
Or live
And then
in.
there's that whole conflict with, not conflict, there's the whole love interest in Black Widow that they emphasize in Age of Ultron, and then it just kind of gets thrown away for some reason.
Yep.
We never talking about it again.
You know, and then in one
It was
movie,
in Thor Ragnarok a little bit.
awful.
and then across all the movies, he's going back and forth between, you know, Bruce Banner trying not to be Hulk or Hulk trying not to be Bruce Banner, and it's it's like a tumultuous storm inside of him,
Yeah.
and then he finally
No.
and then
It's-
yeah, he overcomes it, and he finds a balance between the two, which is a fitting way to end his arc, but it happens off screen.
Yes.
You can't do that off screen. You can't have his final moment
They
of
should've, like, done,
of
like,
growth
A little montage
and
first.
off screen. That's not how you make
Yeah.
character
Yes.
compelling.
One thing I was really
And they
missing.
clearly didn't have a focus. You know, they threw away Black Widow.
Yeah. One thing I was
That
really
just
missing with him was the
Quite literally threw
how
away.
he kind of like, you know how he's always been shown as like one of the smartest people. Even in the scene when he's building the quantum realm, whatever it's called,
Yep.
like he kind of like throws away his like scientist like smarts. You know, he's like, oh, this will happen.
Hi.
Hello.
I need to get my leggings.
Okay.
It's prepared.
All right.
Tonight.
This we can cut out.
Are you sure, Sean?
Yes.
You might want to pause it.
No, because we're not gonna stop it.
Nah.
Dude, it's easier just to cut out. It's like 2 minutes audio.
Bring names.
I'll deal with you, Sarah.
While we're cut, can I use your bathroom?
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
want to show me where it is?
no.
We'll kill the spider.
Oh no.
Not me. Jillian, come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there.
Give me,
I don't do
give me.
spiders.
I don't want to kill the spider though.
I don't want to kill the spider. Don't want to.
It's gone now.
It's right there. It's literally right on the edge. Amrita.
Oh.
Get it, Amrita. Get it.
Get it. I just want to get outside.
I don't know if that's gonna happen. Oh, you didn't. Sorry.
I never want to move that your paw.
Hey, it's
That's
okay.
my shoe. I will wear that.
Is it dead?
Yeah, it's pretty dead.
I did it, Sarah. Are you proud of me?
Are you sure you don't want to kill the spider on podcast?
Please, Sean, this needs to be in the podcast.
I'm a strong human being.
I'm not getting off of this ladder.
Can you take a funeral and
Funeral.
Good, Sarah?
That was so
Come on,
stressful.
come on.
No.
Come on,
I'm
come
not.
on.
I'm not getting down.
You can
I'm
get,
so
come on,
scared.
come on, let's go.
rest in peace?
Rest in
It's
pieces.
dead. It's literally dead, Sarah. The spider is dead.
Spider-Man died too.
Spider-Man, he came back. Oh no, the spider's gonna.
I lost the kid.
Good.
That was a lot. That was stressful.
Well, there goes all our stress.
I wasn't even there. Not today.
All I hear is Amrita. Whack!
I hate spiders. I don't want.
Are you crying?
I didn't want to kill this spider.
I returned.
Oh, you missed a lot.
I think I could hear it from there.
Could this be like a bonus feature?
At the end,
Maybe
if you
the
cut it
bonus.
out and then put it at the
Cause
end.
like the problem is like one of my friends told me that he just goes to sleep with this on in the background. This would be a shock. This would wake him up.
Screaming.
At 3 in the morning, it's just me. Let's go.
All right,
Do you
pick
have
it up.
juice?
All
Do you
right.
have soda
So,
or juice?
we're-
Something?
we were talking about
Yeah.
Because can I
Yeah.
get
Oh
some?
yes, Hulk.
All
Is
right.
it just
Wait.
in your fridge?
We're gonna get drinks, I guess.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
I want to come
Yeah.
to.
I do too, actually.
Okay. Bye, podcast
Goodbye, recording
listeners.
device.
It's a phone.